Okie dokie, I believe we are all the way live. Hello and welcome to my graveyard. I am your host of the evening, the Cemetery Man from Salem, Mass. Always taking names, kicking candy ass, live and in living color here with you tonight, only on Grande's Graveyard. And tonight it is the Japanese horror special number 3. Yes, where tonight we take a good look of this beautiful box set from our good friends over at Arrow Video. The J Horror Rising box set. Yes, where we will discuss awesome movies. We got 7 Japanese horror movies discussing the horrors of envy, the horrors of abuse, the horrors of fitting in, the horrors of revenge, the horrors of family, the horrors of guilt, the horrors of a curse, and the horrors of finding out the truth no matter how terrifying. 7 Japanese horror movies, one place, one time, one horror host tonight here only on Grande's Graveyard. And you bet your bottom dollar that there's absolutely zero regrets. I'm very excited about this show because, of course, Arrow had released this brand new set, and I was really excited to, dive into these. Because, of course, other than one of the 7, I had not seen any of these before. So 6 of the 7 were first-time watches for me. And you know what? I do enjoy doing Japanese horror specials. I know generally the live audience doesn't show up for these. We usually have very light crowds in the lives. But the replays for this, for the One Missed Call show, for the first Japanese horror special, I believe that one hit 1,000 watches. The Ringu shows have done well, the Ju-on retrospectives. So these shows do good on rewatchability. So there is a contingency of fan that's out there of Japanese horror. So I was like, you know what? If we don't have many people in the house, that's totally fine. I get to do my thing, and hopefully y'all catch the replay if you're a big diehard J-horror fan. But let's get to the chat. Let's get to the people that are here. We got Miss C and the Heezy. Ciao, Grande and Graveyardian friends. I'm ready to learn about some new, to me, J-horror films. I might even try watching some of these movies. Awesome. That's awesome to hear, Miss C. Hope all is well with you. We got good old James Abernathy in the house. Good evening, everyone. What's going on, James? Hope all is well with you. We got Anthony Cho about this pop cultures and openings. Hey, how are you, buddy? By the way, I'm up to 2007. Hey, buddy, every day you seem like you're getting closer and closer. We got Curly Girl with the movies. I was just talking to Curly Girl earlier today. So welcome, Curly. Hope all is well with you. And I figured this wouldn't be a J-horror special. This wouldn't be a Japanese horror special if we didn't go all out and get some Japanese candy and soda. So without further ado, I got these at the local Japanese mart today. Actually, a couple days ago, I did get them, but we're going to open them today. And it is peach gummy candy straight out of Japan. So I'm excited to try this. And also, it doesn't stop there. We also picked up, it's not just a regular Fanta like it may look like. It is actually a Japanese Fanta. It's not going to be shown very great. I think they have the light a little bit too bright, but this is a Japanese Fanta. So hey, you know what? Let's crack this son of a bitch open. And cheers to everybody in the graveyard. Hell yeah! Cheers. Ooh, okay. So a little bit different. This might be grapefruit Fanta. This definitely has a different taste, like where the regular America grape Fanta definitely has that kind of sweet taste to it. This is like a Japanese grapefruit Fanta, and I think it tastes pretty damn good. Ooh, I like that. Cheers. Cheers to everybody. And of course, we gotta pop open this candy. Why not? So everybody, we got, I don't know, let's see, Frentia? I don't know how to say that. It's Kazugai candy. This is peach flavor. Let's see. Whoa, they come in little packages. I thought they were just going to be loose in the box. So okay, let's check out a peach gummy here. Very it looks like the tip of a condom, but yeah, hopefully it tastes a lot better. Oh, that's good. Okay. This is really, really good. I'm a big peach guy. Obviously, number 1, I'm an ass man. Number 2, peach is my favorite fruit in the whole wide world. And number 3, this is a damn good candy. So if you have a local Japanese market I highly recommend, as I dropped a couple, I highly recommend you guys get this candy because it's absolutely fantastic. Very chewy, though. Let's see. Mateo is here. Ciao, Grande. Japanese horror, not my cup of tea, but always eager to learn more and get out of my comfort zone. Hi to the whole graveyard chat. Awesome, man. Ew, yummy for the tummy. Yeah, no, hey, this is pretty good. I actually like this. I'm definitely, these are way too chewy to be eating on the show, so I'm just gonna have that one for now because I would literally have to stop the show to eat more of these because those are super chewy. But this Fanta is absolutely fantastic. It's funny. I went in the store, the little Japanese store, and I was the biggest guy in there. And it was just funny. Like I'm a loud, tall human. So when I walked in, it's like Godzilla coming in. You know, it's like, well, hey, do you have soda in here? You know, like that's just me. I'm just a loud son of a bitch. But it was very funny. It was definitely worth the trip to the store. Not that it did kind of. I mean, kind of. That's the first thing I thought of. I don't know why, but it's the truth. That's the first thing I thought of. And also, one more thing before we get the show on the road, we have a little bit of an unboxing because we got this in the mail yesterday, and I believe, if memory's not wrong here, I believe it's another Arrow title, and it may even be a J horror movie. So I figure we open this son of a gun up, and we'll see what we got. Yes, it is Tomei on Blu-ray high definition with a slip cover from Arrow Video. I'm super excited to get to this one. I've watched a bunch of J-horror this week, and it doesn't look like I'm done anytime soon because we'll be watching Tomei maybe in the near future. So very excited. I really enjoy this movie. I'm a big Junji Ito fan, and I'm definitely excited to give this one a look in the foreseeable future. Now, I would also be remiss to not say a few words about a passing in the community. And I know next week we coincidentally are going to be talking about Tales from the Hood, numbers 1, 2, and 3. And of course, in part 3, one of the stars is the late, great Tony Todd, who just passed away this past Friday. Obviously, I was gutted by this. The entire horror community was gutted by this. I always said it, and I still believe it, that Tony Todd had one of the great screen presences of all time for any male actor in the genre. And it's not just Candyman, but it's all the other monsters that he played, like in Valerie on the Stairs. And it's the portrayal of Ben in Night of the Living Dead 1990 that I always thought, how could anyone ever top Dwayne Jones in the original 1968 Night of the Living Dead? And he somehow did it. I mean, I'm a huge Tony Todd fan. And we'll be talking more, obviously, next week when we do discuss Tales from the Hood, Part 3, which Tony Todd does appear in. I've not seen the movie, so I have it downloaded. I'll be watching that movie either over the weekend or early in the course of next week for show prep. But I just wanted to say rest in peace to Tony Todd. I know a lot of people did like filmography reviews and stuff like that. I really would have. It's just, it was such a heartbreaker for me. Alpha Romero did an awesome one. Dead Pit did an awesome one. So rest easy, Tony Todd. We'll definitely be talking about him a little bit more in depth next week on the show when, we do get to Tales from the Hood and of course, Tales from the Hood Part 3, which he actually does appear in. But tonight it's J Horror Night and I'm very excited to have you all here. So sorry to dampen the mood, but I had to say something because my heart goes out to Tony and his family. Rest in peace, Tony Todd, one of the all-time greats in my humble opinion. Rest in peace, Tony Todd. Tomei movies totally butchered the manga. That's true. Once you get to the sequels, yes, but I do like the first one. I really do like the first one for what it's worth. So heartbreaking. Yeah, it really was. I was at dinner. We were all out, a bunch of my friends and I, and weirdly enough, considering Candyman 2 has the whole Mardi Gras and Bourbon Street thing and the whole New Orleans theme, we were in a restaurant called Big Daddy's in New York, and Curly, you would love it. Curly and I know, Curly knows movies, and I know Japanese horror movies. Like we both know and love Japanese horror movies, but we also both love food because we're hardcore New Yorkers. And she would love this restaurant called Big Daddy's, and it's the whole Bourbon Street theme. It has like po' boy sandwiches, and I had an amazing prime rib po' boy there. And as soon as we finished, I heard the news of Tony Todd, and we immediately went back to the crib and we watched Night of the Living Dead 1990 in tribute of him. So rest in peace, man. It was just a heartbreaking loss in the community. Absolutely, yes. May he rest in peace. Yes, and that's right. Slasher Fred checks in. Tony Todd was in Platoon, and I love Platoon. He's great. I also always remember him in the X-Files episode where they can't sleep. Like it's like the whole sleep experiment thing. I thought that was a great episode, and he was just money in it. And I also Valerie on the Stairs. I thought he was money as the lead monster in that. Jinja Ninja movie reviews. What's going on? Hey all, what's going on, Jinja? Hope all is well, man. Cheers to everybody in the chat. And you know what? It's time. It's time. It's not Vader time. It's Wheel of Torture time. Yes, because tonight we have 7 Japanese horror movies and absolutely no regrets. So we're going to spin the wheel here on Grande's Graveyard. Cheers to a wonderful weekend. I hope you got your Japanese candies and sodas ready because we're going to spin this son of a bitch. Let's do it. Spin it up. Spin it up. What do we got? First movie on the chopping block. Ooh, okay. Looks like the first movie in the entire set. It is Shikoku, and I can pull out the DVD here, or the Blu-ray, I should say, of Shikoku. Which, again, sorry, bad kind of glare tonight. Maybe this side is a little bit better. But let's go to the brief plot synopsis. When Hinako was a child, she was separated from her two best friends, Fumiya and Sayori, as she moved to Tokyo with her family. But now she has returned to Shikoku, a small island where she grew up. But it turns out that Sayori has unfortunately drowned. When Hikako starts seeing Sayori in her dreams, she seeks help from Fuma. However, unbeknownst to either of them, Sayori's mother has plans to resurrect her envious daughter. Shikoku. Now, this was, when it initially released in 1999, it was dropped as a double bill with Ring 2. Ring 2, of course, comes out in 99 after Rosin was a big failure in 1998. They kind of forget about Rosin and they decide, let's release Ring 2. But we have this other J-horror movie that we are trying to sell. What better way to sell tickets than to make it a double bill? And that's a big Japanese gimmick, and that won't be the last time you see that gimmick here tonight, is the movies being released as double features, right? Okay, we know Ringu 2 is going to sell tickets. Why not pair it with Shikoku, make them sit through Shikoku, sell tickets for Shikoku, and then, of course, they get their Ring 2. And of course, the filmmaker was well aware of this. The director, Shunichi Nagasaki, he is the director of this, and this was the only horror film that he ever actually did, and they were very much trying to capitalize on the success of the original Ring and the J-horror boom that it spawned, not only in Japan, but in America with all the J-horror remakes that there were. Now, with this particular movie, though, of this set, I would have to say this was my second favorite movie of the entire set. I thought this was absolutely brilliant. And the first thing that I wanted to talk about and touch on here is the opening. I thought the opening was brilliant. The movie opens up where it's just three friends and they're all growing up. And what I thought was interesting from the director, I watched the interview with him. He discussed the story of how a lot of his films in the early going of his career were done on 8mm or 16mm, and he kind of blew them up. And that's how he got his start in the business. And basically, this movie opens up with a lot of 8mm film. You have these kids growing up, running around the village. They're playing games in the village. They're going by the water. They're running in the fields. They're going to school. And it's very interestingly shot. I really enjoy that 8mm gritty, grimy look of the picture as we watch these three kids interact and be friends. We see, of course, our lead, Hinako. She almost drowns as a child. And if it wasn't for Sayori saving her from drowning, she may have just died. But, of course, we see they part ways. Of course, Hinako is going to the big city of Tokyo to, start a new life with her family, and she leaves her friends behind in the small town of Shikoku. Years later, she comes back, and unfortunately, she's learned that her best friend Sayori has passed away from a drowning accident, crazy enough, and all of these weird things start to happen around her as she's starting to dream about her past former best friend. She's starting a relationship with Fumiya, and all this creepy stuff starts happening as, of course, Sayori's mother is trying to resurrect her envious daughter. And to me, that was the brilliant thing about this movie. Now, I know the director said it's all about the horrors of love, and it's all about the horrors of, the wanting to live again. And while I respect totally what he's talking about here, I got so many more different vibes than that. And I definitely think that's the beauty of, have 100 people watch a movie, 100 different people see 100 different movies. And I definitely saw a different movie with this because I totally felt like this was the horrors of envy. And I thought it was done so damn well. I loved the horrors of envy in this movie because we hear how jealous Sayori was of Hinako for getting away, getting a big job, going to the big city, leaving us little people behind here in Shikoku to kind of just rot. And you hear how envious and jealous that she is. She, of course, saved Hinako as a child from drowning, and then now she dies of a drowning accident. So in turn, it's almost like, Minako, she's almost like, where the hell were you to save me? Where were you when I needed saving? I saved you. I saved you when we were little kids, when we were little girls in the water. And yet I am here. I'm the one that drowned while you were out and living your big life in the city. And now you're back and I'm not here. And the director really crafts these interesting dream scare sequences where, she starts to see her former best friend. Sayori starts to show up. And now Sayori is actually played by Chiaki Kuriyama. And you may remember Chiaki Kuriyama from quite a few movies. One of them is also in the set called Persona, but a lot of people are going to remember her from Kill Bill. She's in Kill Bill. She's in Battle Royale. She's done a ton of really good movies, and she's a really good screen presence here, playing the lead kind of heel Onryo, if you will. And basically what happens is, the two leads, they strike up a love relationship, and slowly but surely it seems like, the lead Onryo is getting angrier and angrier, and you see her spirit kind of show up here and again. And it isn't until her mother resurrects her where she actually does come back to life and starts to give the walking hug of death. And what that is she hugs you and can crush you in half. She can just gives you this big like bear hug, Mark Henry style, and can crush your back. You hear all the bones cracking and stuff. And it all kind of culminates to this whole finale where she confronts her two childhood best friends, this Onryo, this envious Onryo, who is so upset that, her friend went on to live this beautiful, luxurious life and now is back. And it's the horrors of envy that really, and I think enrage, that drives her back to life and tries to have her, ultimately kill her off. I thought this was tremendous. I really did. I loved the story. I thought it was very slow burn. I thought the director did such a good job at building these characters, making me care. Now the love story is a little slow. There's not much chemistry there. There's not really a laugh to be had in this movie. It's a very somber, serious film from start to finish. But I do mean that in the best of ways. I think this is a really, really solid movie. It runs at about 100 minutes. Could it have been shorter? Absolutely. But for my money, I thought it was actually quite effective in how it was told. And we actually have these really cool, I could show these still photos from the movie, which that's, of course, our lead and her love interest in the film. This, of course, the lead Onryo, Chiaki, right here. She's just awesome. They talk the story about how they casted her and how they went through all this trouble to try to get her to be in the film. And they said, like, from the word go in the first audition, they were like, we have to make this happen. Like, no matter what it costs, no matter what it is, like, we've got to have her be the lead Onryo in this movie because she's just so goddamn good and creepy. And she does. She gives a great performance in this. She doesn't have to say a whole hell of a lot. And that's something that, when I did my short, I definitely, some people had told me they didn't like that the ghost in my movie or the Jasmine, the girl down by the bay, the woman in yellow, that I had a point had her cut a promo where she's, was the death of an innocent young woman, something you found funny is you felt you knew better, all that stuff. I love that. I love the Onryo, like, cutting a promo because that's me. I love that. I like that. I like the whole thing. But here, a lot of it is much more suggested. We don't have Chiaki cutting any promos like, you bitch, I saved you, where were you to save me? Granted, if I'm making this movie, that's probably what I'm doing. I'm probably like, where were you, to try to drive that point home. But I think what was smart here was actions did truly speak louder than words. And I thought that this was a really, really well done movie from start to finish. I thought, now, did it have Ring similarities? Absolutely. But again, look at the time period. Look at the movie it was a double bill with. It was literally a double bill with Ring 2. So you're obviously going to feel and see those similarities there. That just happens to be what it is. But I do think, for what it's worth, this was damn good. It had good drama elements, really good direction. I like how the director spliced in how he got into the business, what he started as, because not a lot of directors are going to do that. Right? Once a director is past that, growth phase, they're going to play with all these shiny new toys. But I thought it was really smart for he and the cinematographer to get together and say, hey, no, let's do the opening where they're little kids and we're getting to know them on 8mm to give this an older retro feel. And I thought that really set the thing perfectly in motion and immediately grabbed my attention. I thought that the acting all around was really, really fantastic. And I thought that, as it builds to a payoff, it worked really well. Now, do I have any problems with the movie? Maybe the love story is a little weak. Maybe, just maybe, we could have had the physical Onryo in the movie a little bit longer than we did. It's more of a spirit. And then, of course, once she's resurrected by her mother and she starts hugging people to death, Mark Henry style, I felt like that was a little bit rushed. I would have liked a little bit more of that, maybe 20 minutes more of that, as opposed to maybe the 10 that we get. But the atmosphere in this thing drips off the screen. It's a classic ghost story. Curly and I were talking about it before. It really is a classic ghost story. To me, all about the horrors of envy, the horrors of jealousy, of the horrors of wanting somebody else's life, wanting to get out of this small town and envying the person that, instead of being happy for them, that rage that drives you back, from out of the water and back into reality. You'll cost and stop at nothing. You won't stop at nothing to get your boyhood crush back. You won't stop at anything to stop this woman who got to live her life in dreams when you got to sit here and drown. Horror done right, in my opinion. Really, really good horror movie. Shikoku is the damn good one, but I'm curious to hear what the chat has to say on this one. Let me go back up. We actually have quite a few people in here. There's usually nobody in here when I do these J horror specials, so I'm fucking humbled right now. Thank you all so much. I think, oh man, where the hell were we? I think we were here. My fave Tony Todd film is Night of the Living Dead 1990. I would actually probably have to agree with that. It's that or Candyman 1. I mean, those are two perfect movies for me, and that's a damn good remake. Ghostface Brett, what's up? Got my Wendy's. I'm ready for the graveyard. Oh, hell yeah, man. Did you get is the Krabby Patty still available? Did you get that? Texas THC 1965. Hola, Grande. Hola, Texas. Hope all's well with you. From Parts Unknown. Evening All Russ. Okay. I'm not sure who that is. I guess that is Russ. I don't know. I only own one movie with Tony Todd, the original Candyman. I haven't been able to bring myself to watch it in full. Expect to break down crying. Hey, we were all sad when that happened. And next week we'll talk Tales from the Hood, and we will talk a little bit more about Tony Todd. King Gore's in the house. What's going on, Gory Corey? Hope all is well with you. From Parts Unknown, G-Day Jinja. Okay. This movie makes me think of the monkey's paw in that story where the mother wishes her son to come back. Totally. It definitely has themes of that, but I thought it did it in a much more elegant way. Like this is something I watch and go, man, I wish I could have made like the short I did as good as this. Like I like the subtle approach to it. I liked that a lot of actions speak higher than words. I thought that was the smartest thing in this movie. And I just thought the direction was flawless. It really was. Triple M, Mernzies Movie Mansion. What's up, Graveyard fam? Ready to get my J-horror on? Hell yeah. Hi. Let's see. I think, hey, buddy, that girl was one bitter ghost from what I remember of the movie. Yeah, to me, I thought that was the best thing about it. The director kept saying in the interview that love brought her back, and there's no doubt she did love Fuyuma. I fucking suck with Japanese names. Sorry, she did love him, but I think it was more her envy and like her whole psychology. Again, none of this is ever said. This is stuff that I got from the movie where I'm thinking, you saved her from drowning. If you don't ever do that, she doesn't go away for the city. She doesn't steal the love of your life. She's not back right now. Like all of these things that you hated her for, they wouldn't have happened if she didn't save her in the beginning. So to me, I think and see it as the horrors of jealousy and envy and all these things, how you can become an ugly, green-eyed Onryo, if you will, for lack of a better term, and you can come out of the water and, exact or try to exact your revenge. Chiaki is a legend. Yeah, she's great in this. I don't know if I'd put her up there with a Koshibasaki or Yuki Nakama or Ihishina. I don't know if she's on that level, but she's definitely, whatever the next level is, she's there. Like Chiaki is really, really good talent. Forgot to add an N, stupid me. You are entering the hall of pain. Somebody's going to get their ass kicked. I love Mark Henry, man. Definitely needed more ghosts in the movie. I agree. I definitely think you could have had the Onryo in it a little bit longer. Like a lot of it is they try to slow burn and they do these dream sequences. I would have done one less dream sequence and maybe one more kill from the Onryo. Like, I think that was the only thing this fucking movie was missing. They just take one away and add another. Like, I think that would have been the perfect movie. But I still think it's really good. I for my money, second best movie in the set. By far, second best movie in this set. Kal-El is here. Hey, Grande. What's going on, Kal-El? Love Tom Savini's Night of the Living Dead. R.I.P. Tony Todd. Absolutely. People saying hi. I might have missed it, but can you show off the box set? Dude, of course I could show off the box set. So we have the J-Horror Rising set right here. Fun big old spine. You got the back here. And then, of course, what you get is the DVDs or the Blu-rays. This is the second time I've called them Blu-rays. Most of them have this new artwork, which I'm not a big fan of. I like the original cover arts, which you do have the options on all of these to switch them if you'd like. Of course, here's Noroi the Curse. And then, of course, here's Shikoku, which I was just showing off. And then Isola, the Multiple Personality Girl. So we'll be discussing all of these tonight. But, it's a cool little box set. I mean, it has the little poster here. It has the, where's the little booklet? It has this awesome booklet, which I've read through a lot of these. And I just thought this was like really, really cool. This little booklet here of discussing all the transfers and the meanings and the folklores and all this stuff is, I don't know. I thought this was a really cool little set. This was definitely my cup of tea of a set. There's a card for the Slit Mouth Woman. Really cool one. I know it's cheaper now. It didn't sell that well. Like you can get it for probably $50-$55 on like deep discount, or I'm sure you could find it for cheaper than it is on Arrow. So I highly recommend if you haven't. The Story of Ricky. Have you seen the 1968's The Snow Woman? I have not, man. I definitely got to check that out. Okay, it is the thin cases. Was curious. That's sick. Arrow always puts the love. Dude, honestly, it's actually not. They're normal. See, these are normal Blu-ray cases. I mean, they're not super thin. These are just normal like any other Blu-ray case. It's not the like when I think of thin cases, I think of the Jason from Crystal Lake to Manhattan set, or like those really small like snapper cases. These are just normal Blu-ray sets. And they're all on one disc. So the gimmick is it's 2 movies to a disc. They have these still cards on the inside. That's always an Arrow staple. The only movie that has its own disc is Noroi the Curse, because it is the longest, and spoiler alert, it might be the best. But let's see. Arrow's the GOAT, always putting out phenomenal releases. Dude, I'd agree. I think Arrow's the GOAT. It's funny, though. When I read a lot of reviews on this set, and it seems like a majority of people were fucking pissed. Like, they didn't like the movie selection. They felt this was just a cash grab. They felt that Arrow shit the bed. I beg to differ, but I liked, of the 7 movies I watched for show prep, I liked 5 of them. And to me, that's a damn good ratio when you're getting a box set. 5 out of 7 ain't bad. I mean, I don't know the percentage there, but that's a damn good percentage. All cool. Isola got a blue, an interesting one. We'll definitely get to Isola. That is an interesting one. Indicator got some thin cases for their box set. Yes, exactly. These are normal Blu-ray cases. Definitely not too thin. But Shikoku, in my opinion, rounding that out, I highly recommend it. This is definitely one of the ones to seek out in this box set if you have not already seen it. I highly recommend it. Classic ghost story. Really, really good movie. I highly recommend. So we're going to spin the wheel, and we're going to make a goddamn deal here tonight, only on the Graveyard. What do we got coming up next? Oh my God, Corey, I think you fucking jinxed it, my friend. It looks like it's Isola, the Multiple Personality Girl, which is so funny because that's the second movie on this disc. We're going to chronology here. I guess the Wheel of Torture just knew the chronology or something. I don't know. But yeah, Isola, the Multiple Personality Girl. We got a brief plot synopsis for you. When a woman able to read the thoughts of others comes to help the survivors of the 1995 Kobe earthquake, she encounters a girl with multiple personality disorder whose dangerous 13th personality, Isola, must be stopped. Yes, Isola, the Multiple Personality Girl. So in turn, funny enough, Ring Zero, which I know me and Curly absolutely gush over and love, Ring Zero had a double feature gimmick as well in the year 2000. The movie that was paired with it, you look no further than this movie right here, Isola, the Multiple Personality Girl. And I quite like this too. Now, I wouldn't say great, but I would say good, and I would say glass more than half full with this particular movie. This is a classic, like 6.5 out of 10 movie. Like nothing great, but definitely a solid enough movie, and a movie that I would totally revisit it. I would totally give it another watch. I enjoyed this movie. It basically tells the story of this woman, and she's going from, town to town. She's a drifter. She also can read people's thoughts. In similar vein to the Penny for Your Thoughts episode of The Twilight Zone from, the early 60s. And, of course, she's going from town to town. And basically she goes to Kobe, which has just suffered this huge, massive earthquake in 1995. And she goes to this kind of shelter where she's trying to help some of the survivors. You could see she has a little bit of repressed guilt about something. We are not immediately told as to what, but she goes to the shelter and she starts to read people's thoughts. And I thought right then and there, what a great way to kick this movie off, because we hear these people and their horrors of despair from the earthquake. And what am I going to eat today? Am I going to eat today? What am I going to do? Am I going to shower tonight? Where am I going to go to the bathroom? You hear her thoughts, and she's listening to all these different conversations, and she just starts to cry and break down. She doesn't want this ability to start hearing all of these people's conversations, but she does. And she is there to help, but it's a situation where you don't want to hear all these. I mean, this is just a sad situation. It's a sad, sad thing. Of course, she comes across this man who was a war veteran. And she comes over to him and she's trying to give him food, and he throws the food at her and he won't say a word or why he doesn't want it. And it causes this big scene. And then she hears his thoughts. And he's saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And she realizes that he's a war veteran that only survived and came back home because he ran away from the fight. And you hear his thoughts, I'm so sorry. All I could do was run. And she grabs his hand and says, it's okay. Like, that was the only way you could survive. It's not your fault that they're dead. You know, it's like Good Will Hunting. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. And this old man just burst out crying. And of course, the next day she finds out that he has killed himself. And then, of course, she's brought to this school, and there's this, child there that has 13 different personalities, and she's trying to work with her in order to solve what's going on. And of course, of the 13 personalities, we have all sorts of shapes, colors, sizes, and hairstyles. And then, of course, we get to Isola, who is the dangerous killer of the bunch. And this movie kind of plays out as she's trying to cure her, trying to figure out how she exactly got these 13 different personalities. And we kind of dive into this mystery as to, how can we cure her? Where did this come from? What's going on? I liked it. I thought the setup was probably better than the payoff, but I don't think that the payoff was bad either. It basically gets into this whole thing where she has a love interest in the movie, and he was doing this experiment, and the experiment horribly wrong during the earthquake because he had this woman in a pod, and the earthquake, of course, shattered in and killed the woman. And of course, through the scientific, experiment that was going on, this girl got all these different personalities from it, and she's almost possessed by the woman that died in the chamber. I mean, yeah, is that kind of convoluted? Sure, but I thought it was really well done. I liked the actors in it. I thought they all did a really good job. I thought that the pacing of the movie was fairly good. It's about an hour and a half. Didn't overstay its welcome at all. Now, as far as the sequences of horror in the movie, I thought they were pretty well done as well. There's a really good scene where the girl's in school and the principal, he's going down the stairs after her and she's ignoring him. He's like, hey, stop. And she won't stop for him. And he, of course, he goes over and goes to grab her, and he pushes her off the step by accident. She falls down and kind of just deadlock stares him. And you see all of the faces that she possesses. Like, you see her turn here, and they quick up the editing to make it look like she's, going through all these different personalities at once. I thought that was really cool. I was like, oh man. And then one of the students goes over to the principal, was like, you're fucking dead, buddy. I thought that was awesome. I was like, oh shit. This is absolutely, the stakes are high here. And I don't know. I thought the lead girl that played Isola was actually quite good in this. I want to definitely get her name here. I believe it was Makiko Watanabe. She did a really good job as, having to play not one character, but 13 different characters all in the same body. I thought she did a great job. I thought she brought a good energy to the role. I thought she brought a good intensity. I thought she was really cerebral. I mean, I just thought she did a really good job in this movie. I really liked the whole premise and pacing. And I don't know, I thought Isola Multiple Personality Girl was a damn good little horror movie. But let's see what the plot has to say on this one. Let's see where y'all go. Yes, sir. Dude, you're like, oh, Isola's an interesting one. Bam, the wheel was like, all right, Corey, I see you. Definitely watching Isola this weekend. It's sort of giving Split from the description. I like this way more than a Split, but again, I'm not a big James McAvoy guy, not a big M. Night Shyamalan guy. Not even Anya Taylor-Joy is very talented. I would be remiss to not say she's not talented, but I don't know. That's whatever movie. Isola, I thought was actually pretty solid overall, though. I would say I would definitely take it over. I'm trying to see if I could find any stills of the movie. Yeah, this is one still of the movie that I could show there, which I thought was pretty cool. I don't know. I would say I like this more than a Split, but it's definitely in that ballpark. It's definitely, I know some people were bitching. They felt that it's not really a horror movie. They're like, oh, that's not really a horror movie. I disagree. I definitely think it is. I definitely think it just had more science fiction, supernatural elements as more so usual than in a horror movie. Watched earlier this year for the first time. I'll Let You Cook. It's decent, though. I think it was decent, too. I thought it was more like definitely above average. The plot makes me think of the old movie, The Three Faces of Eve. Okay, we got Grief World in the house. Evening greetings from World of Grief. What's going on, Nate? Hope all's out with you. Have to check that film out on YouTube. Oh, it looks like Corey's got it on YouTube right here. So if you want to watch Isola, Multiple Personality Girl, you can watch it right here. The set is way cheaper now than it was when I got it. I got it for 70 bones. And I pre-ordered it and I got it for free shipping, but you can get it now for like $50. Probably even cheaper. If you look on eBay, I'm sure you can maybe even get it cheaper than $50. So I don't know. I would recommend it. I know a lot of people were upset with the set. A lot of reviews I read were a lot of people saying this set sucked. I mean, to each his own. I definitely thought it was for the most part good. When you give me 5 out of 7 movies and I like them or got something out of them, you did something right. People saying thanks, King. The plot of the character having many personalities is very much like Split. That's right. 55 on Prime. I've seen it go for 50. I think on deep discount it's 50. But obviously, that's probably with shipping as opposed to Prime. You're probably not paying the shipping if you're a member. Probably cheaper elsewhere, but that's the base price. Yeah, which is, hey, that's $15 cheaper than what I got it for. And, I definitely think it's worth $50 for sure. Watanabe is such a dope last name. Yes, it is. I dug Isola, just needed more, but the restoration is fire. Yeah, I would say all the transfers are good. The only one that's iffy on the transfer is actually Noroy, but it is a shot on video movie, so you understand why it's not the greatest transfer in the world. But I would absolutely say they hit a home run on all of these transfers. Like, I would say looking wise, Shikoku or Inugami look the best, but man, these look great. Yeah, I did. I paid 70 bones, man. I definitely got ripped. Going to be the first time watch for me. Awesome. You pick up Coffin Joe yet? I have not picked up Coffin Joe. 7 titles kind of work. Yes, 7 titles, $70, $10 a movie is what it was sold as. But now I've seen it go for 55. I swear to you, I saw it somewhere for 50. So it's definitely going down. Which means it probably didn't sell the greatest, which is unfortunate. But I really kind of liked it, so it was worth it to me. One of the classic movies that involves a parent dealing with a child drowning is the movie Don't Look Now, which had starred the late, great Donald Sutherland, which is, I love that movie, and I'm a huge fan of Donald Sutherland. Noroi the Curse. Dude, great. I don't know if I told you this, but in a couple of weeks, actually, no, it's less than a week now. No, it's a week. It's a week from Saturday. I'm going to Days of the Dead in Chicago, and I'll be meeting Takako Fuji. I'm hopping on a plane. It's Takako Fuji's first ever fucking convention, and you bet your ass I'm going to be there. I'm going to meet up with good old AJ's Happy Fun Time channel, and we're going to get some deep dish pizza. We're going to meet Takako Fuji and hang out all night at Days of the Dead Con. So if anyone's going, totally say hi if you're there. Going to be, yeah, exactly. It'll probably drop down like $40 at a point if you just wait. So, that may be the best decision to do. Unless you can get it for 50 right now, that's a steal for 7 movies to me. Any 7 movies, really. Well, maybe not any 7 movies, but you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm very excited. I am so excited to meet Takako Fuji because this is like, she's the way people look at like Art the Clown and Kane Hodder. I look at Takako Fuji. Like, Takako Fuji gave me nightmares you wouldn't imagine. And Kaiko Saeki is one of my all-time favorite horror characters. Like, in my opinion, the best Onryo that there ever has been. I'm a huge, huge fan. So the fact that I'm going to get to meet her is so exciting. And I'm really, really looking forward to it. So that'll be fun. Thanks for sharing the link. Awesome. Oh, wow. So cool. Totally. Next year, I'm going to go to Cinema Wasteland. Okay. Very cool. And Scarefest. Absolutely. All of you guys enjoy. That's really cool. But let's spin the wheel and make a deal here. Let's do it. Let's do it. Spin her up. What do we got? Who's next on the show? It would be crazy if it keeps going in chronological order. And it might have. Is this chronological order? I actually think it skipped one. Okay, it didn't go in chronological order as we get to the next movie here, which is St. John's Wort. We have a brief plot synopsis. A game designer, and I'm sorry, actually, I had one over here. Yes, I was going to. A game designer and his ex-girlfriend Nami drive out to a decrepit old mansion she has just inherited from a past family member. A film background for a new game called St. John Wort. Once they arrive, Nami starts to have flashbacks of her childhood and finds a haunting picture of her twin sister she never knew existed. As the night presses on, they discover they are not alone in the house. Yes, St. John's Wort, which this is the only one I didn't switch the cover for because I really didn't like the one sheet for either movie of this or Inugami. It would have been crazy if Inugami was next. It would have stayed in order of this, but it finally goes one out of order with St. John's Wort. Now, I know I was saying out of the 7 movies in the set, I liked 5 of them. We find one of the 2 that I did not like in St. John's Wort. I will admit to you, though, I love that setup. That's a great setup. With a video game movie, of course, this was an actual video game on the PlayStation, St. John's Wort, which does translate to revenge. It was an early PlayStation game with all these bright neon and oversaturated yellow colors. And what they do in the movie is they do just that. They try to make it look like a video game. So throughout the entire picture, we see these insanely oversaturated, almost bleached out colors of yellows and purples and reds, and they are so oversaturated it gets to the point of overkill, unfortunately. Now, I thought I would love this from the word go, but you'll see what I mean if you see the picture. The movie does look quite ugly at times, and it's unfortunate. There is some really bad CGI wide shots of the house that they're entering, and you could clearly tell it's a blue or green screen. I mean, it's quite ugly looking. But I do like the setup for what it's worth. And it's, of course, this ex-couple that go to the house. They're video game designers, and they're trying to, explore the layout of this house to lay out and turn a killer horror video game. Love that. Love that idea. They find this picture. Oh, my God, who's this girl in the picture with me? She looks just like me. Is that my twin? On the back of the picture, it says Nami and Naomi. And she goes, oh, my God, I have a twin sister named Naomi. What the hell? And then slowly but surely, you get the idea that either the house is haunted or someone is in the haunted house with them. And, I mean, I wanted to like this because, again, I like the setup. Were the colors overkill at points? Absolutely. Did the movie have atmosphere? It really did. I thought it had a decent enough atmosphere. I'll even give you that the movie's short. The movie's barely an hour and 20 minutes, and that's with credits. I mean, the movie is short, and it's trying to stay as faithful to the video game as humanly possible, and I respect that. I just don't think this had enough for feature length. Maybe if this was something that was 45 minutes, even a half hour, maybe that would have worked better, like an episode of something, or even a 45-minute full episode of like a Black Mirror. I think that would have worked a lot better than what ends up happening here, because I mean, we cut from shot on video to sometimes we'll go to CCTV. Sometimes it'll be footage of an actual movie. They jump around a lot with that. The editing is kind of crazy. We jump in and out of these characters in the house, exploring the haunted house, to these 2 characters that shouldn't even have been in the movie. These graphic designers that are back in their college dorm. And yeah, the college dorm is oversaturated too. Like everything in this movie just looks like blotched out with all these bad colors. I'm like, dude, what the hell? Somebody needed to hit the brakes. Like maybe if it was only the stuff in the house that you did the oversaturation, I could have been like, okay. But man, they do it for everything to the point where I was like, what the hell? Like hit the brakes on this a little bit. But no, they were going balls deep into this. So, I mean, it is what it is. But I definitely enjoyed some of the scare sequences. They have a lot of interesting shots of a little girl standing on the steps of the living room. You have interesting shots of, certain colored rooms. One room is green, one's red. They go a little bit Suspiria with that. I thought that stuff was fine. It definitely overstayed its welcome a little bit, though. And where it really collapsed was the finale. Because in the finale, they do this whole, she meets her sister, and her sister gives this entire speech, which I thought like totally took me out of the movie. So spoiler alert, which I don't really mind spoiling this. I'm not recommending St. John's Wort. I think it's one of the 2 movies you should skip. It's funny. The 2 movies I think you should skip are on the same case, which is funny. But I don't know. This unveil really hurt the movie. It basically was, she meets the twin sisters in the house with them. They're shooting crossbows at each other at one point. They go to the attic, and it feels epic. I'm like, okay, I'm ready to embrace this movie. Like, give me a fun finale, a good promo, something to get me to go, all right, that was worth sitting through. Instead, we get this really, and I mean really bad promo from the lead. So that sometimes, like less is more with Shikoku, that you don't have the Onryo say much. It's an Onryo, few words. Whereas it's this whole spiel, and it just completely fucking killed the scene where the twin sister is really a boy. Whoa, and she's wearing a long-haired wig. Naomi is really a guy. Why? I have no fucking idea what that added to the story, what fucking arc that gave to a character. I have no idea. It's just a random fucking twist, similar vein to Unhinged or Sleepaway Camp, where you're like, wait a minute, what? And even in Unhinged and Sleepaway Camp, it has a funny charm to it. This is playing itself seriously. And it's like, dude, why would you go there? Like, what the fuck? This is supposed to be an intense, emotional scene. And she's like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm a dude. And then it just keeps going like she never said it. I'm like, what the fuck? And then in video game fashion, which this I kind of liked, but at the same time I didn't, they do multiple endings. They have an ending where the house burns down, they both burn alive. They have an ending where she gets out of the house, and you see that they're kind of behind the scenes, like picking what ending in the kind of meta way. And similar like funny games. Like, wait a minute, rewind that. Let's do this ending and see how it plays out. I mean, cool idea, definitely cool idea, but did it really work? I don't know. I thought this was kind of a missed opportunity, unfortunately. I thought your setup was really good. I think if you had maybe toned it down a little bit with the style, this might have worked. I don't think you should have done oversaturated colors. I would have tried to go as slick with the colors as possible. I definitely think that would have been an interesting way to go here. Now, interesting enough, we were just talking about Ju-on. The lead of Ju-on the Grudge is also the lead in this movie, Megumi Okina. She's the lead of Takashi Shimizu's Ju-on the Grudge, which is so cool because that was the year after this, and this is the year 2001. So this was one of the last movies she did before she gets the lead starring role as Rika in Ju-on the Grudge. So I thought that was really cool to see her in this movie. I thought she did a good enough job. I don't really think this movie and its faults are her problem necessarily. I think this is just a classic case of we're trying to experiment with making a video game film. They got some things right, but oh boy, did they get some big things wrong. And that's unfortunate, but I think it was one of the weaker movies in the set for me. I didn't hate this thing, but I'll be lying to you if I'm going to say I'm going to go back and rewatch this anytime soon. I really wouldn't. I mean, maybe, if I ever do video game horror movies down the road, like just cover those, that's one I'd have to bring up again and try to talk about again, give it another chance. But for me, definitely a skippable one. But let's see what the chat has to say about this. Let's see. I think we were here. Sadako is definitely my number one, but Kayako is a very close second. I mean, yeah, Sadako Yamamura is awesome. And there's something about Kayako Sieki. I think the character is just, I just love the character a little bit more and the movements and shit. Like, I don't know, there's just something about her. And it's only Takako Fuji's portrayal. Like, no other actress has ever been able to capture what she was with that and how scary that character was without really doing much, like a little bit of croak and a movement here of the shoulder and a movement shoulder there. I mean, she really, really was a talented lady. Dan Craig's in the house. Shout out John Grande and Grande's Graveyard. Thank you so much, Dan. Hope all's well with you, buddy. That movie sounds like it would make my eyes bleed. It's so oversaturated that you're probably right, and it would. I mean, it was like, I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, after a little while, I'm like, is it going to stop? Like, I thought maybe just the opening credits, maybe. Like, it opens up like almost like a Skinamax movie. Like, it's really weird. It opens up and it's like all these fast shots with this bizarre editing and like all these weird blues and yellow colors, like really bright. And you're just like, like fucking lower the brightness, man. They twist in just to twist. I think so too. Like, it was so unnecessary. I was like, dude, it's not like she said, oh, because daddy raised me as a girl, I'm tragic. There's nothing like that. It's just, I'm wearing a wig. That was it. I was like, what the fuck? What? Like, why did that have any? I just didn't think it added anything. It was just honestly a head scratcher because she just kept going. Like, she was just like, okay, so now I'm done. So Japanese Sleepaway Camp, I don't know about that. Sleepaway Camp is a lot better than this movie for what it's worth, but I'm going to have take a sip of this. Oh, man, this is such a good drink. Japanese Fanta, y'all. Grapefruit. So freaking good. People saying hi to Dan. They sure don't make those movies that are based on video games anymore. You're so right. It's a like bygone thing now. So when it started, I was like, okay, like because you look at the era and look at what J horror was at this time. Ring changed horror forever. I mean, it really changed it, but it's specifically in this culture at this time, it was all about technophobia. It was all about, whoa, if you put this VHS tape in, 7 days later, Sadako Yamamura comes out of the ring and into your living room. And I think in turn, that was a big thing that these J-horror producers wanted to do, was to put technophobia in it any way, shape, or form. And this is the movie that really did that. They did that with a VHS tape. We'll do it with a goddamn video game, and we'll make it aesthetically look exactly like how the PlayStation game looked. The only fucking problem with that is it just did not translate to film. It's a fucking sight for, happy eyes, because it'll just make your eyes sore. I was like, oh man, like I appreciated what he went for. And this filmmaker has done some good movies. Shimoyama, he made a really good fucking samurai movie with Yuki Nakama a few years after this that I love. So that's a really good movie. This is a guy that had talent, and I totally see that there was ambition, and he was trying here to make something really good. And I think maybe had he stayed away from some of the style, it might have been, and worried a little bit more on the story and the unveil at the end. But with that being said, do I think it's the biggest piece of shit of all time? No, but I do think it's one of the two on the set that just didn't work. Cinephile Sanity TV is in the house. What's going on, Sean? Hope all is well with you. People saying hi to Sean. So that is St. John's Wort. Not a big fan. I don't know. I didn't think this one was very good at all. But it is what it is. We'll go back to the Wheel of Torture as we have 4 more films to be discussed here tonight. Only. Let's see what we got up next over here. Oh boy, are you all ready for another Onryo in this son of a bitch? I believe I am, because yes, we have a winner. It is Carved, the Slit Mouth Woman. Now let me get the DVD, the Blu-ray. I've been calling them DVDs all night, I guess. But yes, this is Carved, the Slit Mouth Woman, and we have a brief plot synopsis here. A suburban town in Japan is the victim of what supposedly is just an urban legend. A woman's spirit with a horribly disfigured face who is hell intent on kidnapping children for unknown reasons. Yes, Carved, the Slit Mouth Woman. Now, this is 2 movies of Koji Shiriashi that is on this box set. Of course, this and, of course, Noroi the Curse, which we will be discussing once the wheel decides. This I thought was really impactful. Of course, it is from the whole story of the Kujisaki Onna, which of course translates to Slit Mouth Woman, which is a malevolent figure in Japanese folklore. It's an onryo in and of itself, if you will. And the original story, which I actually think is better than the story they used in the film, but I know the director has said that he felt that story was too goofy to do. The story of the urban legend goes that it's a samurai and his beautiful wife. And the beautiful wife is getting sad and upset that the samurai is out fighting and protecting people for peace. And she starts to get lonely. And basically what happens is while the woman starts to get lonely, she starts to cheat on Mr. Samurai, and Mr. Samurai comes home and gets fucking pissed. And basically what Mr. Samurai does is carve her face from ear to ear in similar vein to Heath Ledger's Joker, where you want to know how I got these scars? Well, the Samurai fucking did it. And, I mean, in an alternate cut of The Dark Knight, yeah, the Samurai got pissed. You were out sleeping with everybody. That, I think, would have been great to do here, and I really wish they had, because instead they switched the whole story because the director was very scared that this movie was going to be funny. And he was scared that people were going to make fun of it, see it as a dumb, fun slasher movie. He was trying to avoid that at all costs. So he sat down and he thought to himself, how the hell do I make a legend that I find goofy, even though the rest of the society and culture, this is an iconic onryo. They find it scary, but how can I make it to a point where nobody's laughing, that everyone's serious, that everyone's paying attention, that everyone is truly scared? I appreciate that as a film fan. I do. I love horror films. Do I like some goofball elements in horror movies? Do I like some funny one-liners? Absolutely. But when the chips are down, when shit needs to get serious, shit gets serious. And that's the type of horror fan I am. I like when it gets serious. And the way he decided to do that was to ultimately make this movie about abuse. And not only abuse, but child abuse. This is really a movie about the horrors of child abuse, because the legend in this movie is that, of course, after an earthquake, which earthquakes are really bad, not only bad for the destruction they cause, but in Multiple Personality Girl and, of course, Carved Slit Mouth Woman, they kind of bring these evil spirits to the forefront, if you will, where, in this movie, it's this woman who had beaten up her kids, and one day she had killed two of them. One of them got away, and she became this folklore legend. And if she comes up to you and asks, "Am I pretty?" you better say yes, because if you say no, she'll cut you in half. And if you say yes, she'll make your mouth slit like hers. That's the whole gimmick of this movie. And they have all these great urban legend rules, like, oh, she comes to the park at 5:00. Don't be in the park after dark, because the slit mouth woman will come to get you. And little by little, more kids are disappearing in the town, and it's up to our lead actress and her male interest in the movie to try to solve the mystery of the carved woman and break the Onryo's curse. I had a blast with this. I thought this was really good. It's not uber violent to all of my American slasher fans. You probably hear the word carved, the slit mouth woman. You have a woman with giant scissors on the poster and this, gory looking design on her face. I'm sure you hear a bloodbath and you want a bloodbath. That's not what this movie is. You're going to be sorely disappointed if you're a gore hound and you just want to see a fun slasher movie, because it's purposely not that type of movie. They purposely advertently made this more about the horrors of abuse. And we watch as our lead character has not only been a victim of abuse, but she is an abuser to her own daughter. She is a part of a broken marriage where the husband took custody of her only daughter, and the daughter hates her. The daughter doesn't want to talk with her. And you get the idea that she has hit her child before. And in fact, we even see it in flashbacks of the movie. So we see her smacking her child, and the kid starts to cry, and "I love daddy more. I don't love you." And she's heartbroken by this. And then, of course, when she hears the whole story of the slit mouth woman being an abuser, and she, I think, in turn wants to right the wrongs of her life by stopping this curse once and for all. And of course, the male interest that we find out as the movie goes on, he was the escaped son. He was the one son that got out of her whole grasp and control, and he can hear her voice in his head. "Am I pretty? Am I pretty?" And he knows where she's going to strike next. He can hear her almost. So he can hear it and kind of drive to wherever the violence is going to be. I mean, I had a good time with this. I thought the fucking Onryo was scary. I thought the design was good. I liked the legend. I thought they built the lore pretty well. There's some interesting scenes where there's a child running away from the lead character. The slit mouth woman grabs her. She kind of smacks the mask off, and we see this disgusting, disfigured face of this woman, and she kind of just looks at these giant blue eye contacts. It just kind of pierce through your soul. I mean, I thought that was really effective. I liked that. I thought that was really good. And then you get some really fucking disturbing flashbacks where we see children getting abused. There's a scene where the original slit mouth woman, before she was an Onryo, starts fucking punching her own children out. She just gets up and bam, like just not, and I'm just like, wow, like this is beyond disturbing to me. And I think it was more effective than any slasher movie you really could have made. Like, I get what people wanted, and I know they got what they wanted when they made the prequel of Slit Mouth Woman. They did a prequel which was much more of a slasher type movie. I thought this was just horrifying in and of the fact that he made it more about children abuse, and he did not shy away from showing it. There's, again, some great stuff with the folklore. Like, she keeps her kids in a house on the hill with a red roof. And we see these kids like chained up and tied together and crying and wanting their parents and stuff. And the slit mouth woman disfigures their faces and all that stuff and cuts them slow. I mean, it's disturbing film. Like, it is anything but funny. I know some people are disappointed by it. I know it's not a highly regarded movie, and people, like, I watched one YouTuber, he tore it to shreds. He was like, "Oh, what a piece of shit movie. I don't like it." I don't know. For my humble opinion, I thought this was just tremendous. I really liked that aspect of it. And the whole finale I thought was great too, where they finally do confront her, and it's almost like everyone's confronting something. mother is confronting son is confronting mother, and abuser is approaching and confronting abusee. And she's wanting to right the wrongs of her own life of being an abuser by defeating one. And I liked that. I thought that was pretty cool. You do have this interesting, the Onryo is like cutting up this guy's Achilles and his legs and his arms, and he's screaming and crying as she's trying to get the children out of there. I thought that was kind of cool. And then we get to the very ending, which absolutely sent me, and I thought was a great ending. So spoiler alert for anyone who's wanting to see this. The very ending, our main abuser finally confronts her daughter, and she says, listen, I need a moment with our kid without you here. And the father begrudgingly is like, okay, I trust you, but don't make me regret this. He walks away, and she embraces and hugs her child and says, listen, I've been abused. I've seen people be abused. She gives this really heartfelt, I'm sorry, basically, for what I've done, and there's no excuse for it, but I do love you, and I would hope that you could love me back someday, but if not, I understand. This great monologue, and I was like, wow, I was really into it, and I really liked it. I was like, you know what? Like, horrible, you do horrible things, but I appreciate that you've realized your wrongs, and you're trying to move past it. She hugs her daughter, and then there's a whole heel turn where, holy shit, she's the new slit mouth woman. Bro, I fucking popped. I didn't see it coming at all. Maybe I should have, but I really thought the movie was over and the evil was gone, but no. And she just like pulls up the scissors. I was like, what? I absolutely just started freaking out. I was like, that is amazing. I don't know. Maybe I'm gullible. Maybe I'm crazy, but I did not see that shit coming. And I thought it was really fucking good way to end the movie. I was like, whoa, like, I did not see that. Like, that is the classic hit you with a left when you're going to get it right. I just thought that was great. I really did. I loved the ending of this. Really good movie. Really good. Really deep. Like it disturbing in other ways than just being gory. Because when a movie does show gore, the gore really wasn't all that. There's a scene where the CGI blood comes out of the carved woman's mouth. And I was like, I don't know about that. Like, I don't think that looks the greatest. And it doesn't. But again, it's not trying to tell that type of story. This is the movie's about the horrors of being abused. And I thought it was really well tackled by the director. Everyone did a good job acting. It was well told. I thought it had some heartbreaking moments in it when some of these parents find out their children have been kidnapped and how the way they break down. No, not my child, not my child. I thought all of this really worked. And I liked the way they used the urban legend. This is an urban legend movie where it's almost like the urban legend plays second fiddle to the overall theme of abusing kids. And it's really fucked up, to be honest with you. So I don't know. I like Carve the Slit Mouth Woman. It's a really fucking fun movie. Fun in some ways, I guess. It's definitely disturbing. Love over-the-top Japanese films. This isn't really one of them. So yeah, no, you'd probably be disappointed. What's in English? Okay. Loved the Legend of the Slit Mouth Woman herself, but the movie unfortunately bored me. That's understandable. This is definitely, I could see why somebody would go in and being like, holy shit, I want to hear that samurai story. And Curly, that's totally what I thought I was getting. Like, I signed up for that samurai story, and I wanted to hear of this tragic Onryo that came back. And I wish they had just stuck exactly with the lore. But at the same time, I respect that the director didn't want to make a goofy movie in which he felt that there was no way around it unless he changed that. So I respect what he did, and I do think it was, in a way, the right decision, but in another world, I mean, I'd love to see a movie that just goes for that legend. Like, nope. And you could still be scary. Listen, I don't agree with him that there was no way you could have made this effective, scary horror movie that would have been goofy without that. I don't think that at all. I don't think that's the case. Like, I know he was up and down, like, adamant about that. Like, I'm not changing on that. I respect what he said, but I definitely think you could have done something with that lore. With that said, though, what he did was not bad at all, in my opinion. I thought it was actually quite good and a good departure from, making a goofy over-the-top slasher movie. Men of the Sun is so disturbing. Okay. Split Mouth Woman sounds creepy as fuck. I got to see it. Yeah, this would be one, if Corey ever brings back the fucked up Novembers. It's definitely pretty fucked up. What's the film Graveyard? Carve the Slit Mouth Woman. I got 2 Korean recommendations for you. 2013's Mobius, very messed up movie about family. 2000's Teenage Hooker, became a killing machine. Both very nutty and underrated. Well, I haven't seen either one of those. I know from Korea, my favorite Korean horror movie is this movie called Dream House, which is about this woman, and she is trying to buy a house, but she, of course, the rates are through the roof and she can't afford it and all these things. And basically she starts killing people off in order to try to fucking buy her dream home. And like anyone that gets in the way, she kills them off in these really crazy, gory ways. And that's to me, one of the biggest, like, needs of Blu-rays out there. Dream House needs a fucking Blu-ray. That's a masterful Korean horror movie that more people need to see. Hey, I'm back. I had to answer some texts. All good, my friend. Thanks, King. We'll have to check them out. Yes, Carved is on YouTube. Awesome. Okay, let us know what you think if you give it a watch. But in the meantime, we're going to spin the wheel and make a deal, you sons of bitches. Let's do it. 3 left. What do we got? Looks like... Okay. Persona. Yes, Persona, which I will give a brief plot synopsis to right now. When a student by the name of Donda adopts a porcelain mask as a direct result of the school bullying, he spurs on a large majority of fellow students to do the same thing. Yes, Persona. This is the movie that I think is least seen in this set, to the point where on IMDb, there's less than 150 reviews for this movie. Like, people have just not seen this movie. And I'm here to tell you that of this set, this was in my top 3. This is just behind Shikoku and our number 1 movie that we'll be discussing here tonight. I mean, this was such a blast. And like, when I watched this movie, I got so fucking into it and exciting that I can't even tell you. So it basically opens up, you're in a high school and we see this kid getting picked on. He's a teenager. He's getting picked on, made fun of. And, it's a kind of a sad opening scene where he's being bullied. The next we see this kid, he has this mask on his face, like a porcelain mask. And they're like, what are you doing? Why are you wearing this mask, you fucking loser? And he's like, he's not talking about it. He's like, that's not my identity anymore. Like, this is my new identity. This is the mask. You respect the mask. And they're like, whatever. And they throw his backpack out the window. They're still bullying him, but he won't take the mask off. He refuses. And basically what happens is it starts to form a trend in the high school. And then this high school trend starts to become a worldwide trend. And this mask phenomenon takes over the world. And this whole entire movie, in my opinion, is very similar vein to The Suicide Club, which also came out the following year in 2001, Cian Sono's film, which I have reviewed on a past J-Horror special. And I think I uploaded it on its own individual review. This is all about the horrors of fitting in, and the horrors of bullying, and the horrors of society falling into all of these goddamn, fads, if you will, for lack of a better term. You remember the Tide Pod challenge when all these dumb kids were eating Tide Pods and dying? Do you remember Cut for Bieber? Do you remember, all these dumb fads that were around at the time and become big from schools and then grow into like these worldwide fads? And this is basically a movie about that. What if a kid came into school with a mask one day and then everybody decided, I'm not happy with the person that I see in the mirror every day. I'm sad. I'm bullied. I'm sad. I'm ugly. I'm sad. I'm one of these things or the other. And then, of course, in turn, you start wearing the mask. Then you start wearing the mask until it becomes like a snowball effect and everybody's wearing a mask. And if you're not wearing a mask, then you're not cool and you're not getting invited to the parties. And man, I thought the energy this movie had was tremendous. I really liked the energy this thing brought. In the opening, where like 20 minutes, we see this phenomenon rising and growing and taking over Japan. We have our leads. They go to this like club and we have these really weird atmospheric scenes in the club with, again, proper usage of color, St. John's word, not oversaturating everything, but making it really stylish and visually appealing, which I completely appreciated. I thought was just a treat to the eyes. There's a great scene where she goes from one room to another in this red room, and she sees this little boy wearing a mask and this weird person behind him. I got total David Lynch vibes from that, like Fire Walk with Me. And I was like, this is so fucking cool. Like, I like how this is going. Of course, as this becomes a fad, it starts to become almost like a Clockwork Orange where, if you're wearing the mask, you could be part of these gangs and people are getting hurt, injured, and then eventually people are being killed, and people start to think, hey, is there somebody behind this? Is there something going on? And then the film kind of develops more into a mystery, which that I don't know if I would have done. I might have probably kept continuing telling the story of, the horrors of fitting in and the horrors of fads and what we'll do to follow them and be not just a face in the crowd, but a part of the crowd. That's probably where I would have went with it, but I don't think it was all that bad. Of course, the movie does star Tatsuya Fujiwara, who's also from Battle Royale. And of course, I mentioned this before, that she was in another one of these movies. Chiaki Kuriyama is one of the leads in this as well. So it's cool to see her back in the movie as well. So she's in 2 movies of this entire J-horror set. So if you're a fan of her, you get 2 out of the 7 have her in it. And this is a smaller role, but I do think she did a really good job in it. And of course, they're trying to figure out what's going on with this, and it kind of all unravels in the 3rd act, where it's literally like a Scooby-Doo finale. I know we were talking about Scooby-Doo a couple weeks ago. It's a very Scooby-Doo finale with its unveil, to the point where it's like all they were missing was saying, oh, if it wasn't for you and you meddling kids and your stupid dog. The ending of this, it does kind of come off the tracks, not in a horrible way, but I wish they just continued the story they were telling the first hour about the horrors of this. And I think where Suicide Club does stick the landing, Persona kind of struggles in that. But I still think this is well worth your time, and it's just from a style standpoint is great. And it almost feels like at times like an Aphex Twin music video. If you're a fan of Aphex Twin and Come to Daddy, holy shit. I mean, there's a great scene in this where they're running out of the club, and all these people in masks are chasing them down the street, and they swarm this couple. And then this guy on a motorcycle comes and takes them away. I mean, that to me felt so like music video Aphex Twin. I was like, holy crap. Like, you can't tell me that this wasn't inspired by that or that inspired this, really. I don't know, but it was just really cool. I liked how that was all kind of done, and it really gave me like cool Aphex Twin vibes there. I thought that was interesting. So I don't know. I thought it just, from a standpoint of it having a lot to say, because again, a lot of these movies, other than maybe 1 or 2 of them, had a lot to say. And I think that's a big reason why, while some people will say a lot of these movies were slow and they didn't pick the top J-horror movies, a lot of people were saying they picked B J-horror movies, and that's totally fine if you feel that way. To me, I got something out of these because they had something to say about the psychology of the genre and the psychology of horror movies. And to me, this has a loud voice, and you hear it really loud and clear. And I think in my heart of hearts, maybe a reason why I liked this so much is because I could see this happening. We live in a world where furries is a fucking thing. You're telling me that a kid can't come to school in a mask and automatically think, okay, I'm changed. I'm not John anymore. I'm whoever I want to be. I'm cool now. And now I'm in a gang, and now I'm assaulting people. And now now it's a Clockwork Orange, you son of a bitches. Where's the Carol of a milk bar? I think that was a really cool thing because, again, I do think this could happen, and that chilled me to my core. I was like, this is really well done. The 3rd act, yeah, I can't defend the 3rd act. The 3rd act, it really felt like an episode of Scooby-Doo, and I was like, you were doing so well, but I was so entertained throughout it that I can't really say anything but kind words. I really liked Persona. I think people should watch this. Of this set, it's definitely the most underseen, and I think the most underrated, but I would say it's in the top 3 of the set, only behind Shikoku and our number 1 choice here tonight. But let's see what you all have to say. I think we were here. Yes, Dreamhouse is fire. Watch Mother Someday by Bong Joon-ho, I think. I love Bong Joon-ho. Very excited to see him collab with Robert Pattinson early next year. I think they're doing an astronaut movie with Bong Joon-ho directing and Pattinson starring. So that's going to be really cool. That's his follow-up to Parasite after all these years. Persona it's not to be confused with the Ingmar Bergman film, which is great. Have you ever watched a Joe film called Dark Water? Mystic Mac is in the house. Yes, I have. And I have seen its horrible American remake, even though I do love Jennifer Connelly and I do love John C. Reilly. The original Dark Water is a lot better than that fucking goofy remake. But yes, I have. And I do enjoy Dark Water quite a bit. That's, of course, I think also from Hideo Nakata. There's also another Dreamhouse movie from 2011 with fucking Daniel Craig. That's right. Libby, don't let me go. That movie, holy shit. Slasher Fred, you just unlocked a memory. I went on a date to see that movie. That would have been middle school. Yeah, that would have been one of my first dates ever. We went to go see that fucking piece of shit movie. And I love Daniel Craig, but that's a bad film. And it's like his whole family was like dead the whole time. It's like a horrible fucking movie, in my opinion. But yes, that's right. Dream House with Daniel Craig, man. Thank you for unlocking that memory. You just, holy shit. I remember that. Wow, that's crazy. Howdy Grande in the chat. Howdy. You think Bong Joon-ho has ever smoked a bong? I mean, I would think he had to have, right? I know his famous Oscar speech was, I will drink until the next morning. Without question, Mernsey, that man was blazed during his Oscar speech. Eyes were, dude, if I fucking won Best Picture, Best Director, Best Foreign Film, man, I would drink until I could drink no more. And that's a great movie. I do love Parasite. Sounds interesting. I'll check it out. Awesome. We got Captain Skittles. Hello, I'm here. Carved is pretty underrated for a J-horror movie. Welcome, Captain Skittles. Hope all is well with you. And I do love the pro pick there. That's really cool. Big Dragon Ball Z guy I can see. So very cool. Welcome to the graveyard. Yeah, Persona, I highly recommend. I definitely think it's a really good one. And Mateo, if you watch it, let me know what you think, man. It's definitely, I think, worth a watch for sure. That's so funny. As we go to our final two, we have my favorite and my least favorite. That's just kind of how it played out here. And which one will it be first? Well, I'll tell you what. It is Noroi the Curse, which is my favorite of the bunch. But I'll tell you what. Let's get the rant. Well, I'm not going to full on rant, but let's get the bad one out of the way first. So we're going to take the Wheel of Torture off here. And we're going to unfortunately talk about what I felt was the weakest movie of this entire set. As Nanette checks in. Nanette, Blood, Rose, and Horror Nightmare. What's going on, my friend? Hope all is well with you. People saying hi. My least favorite movie of this set, and the one that I think is the easiest one to skip, is this one right here. And Curly and I were talking about it. It is Inugami. Inugami from the year 2001. We have a brief plot synopsis. Akira, the young new school teacher in town, falls for secretive Miki, an older woman who takes care of her family's urn that supposedly holds a forest wolf spirit called Inugami. People start soon disappearing, and the town blames Akira. I wanted to like this, and I will be honest with you. When I bought this set, when I read all the synopses, mind you, of these 7, I had not seen 6 of them. I thought from the fucking title or from the description that this would easily be my favorite. Unfortunately, it ended up being my least favorite. So go figure. It tells the story of this woman. She's like a paper maker. And this teacher comes into town. He's a lot younger, like 15 years or so younger than her. They start having an affair, and through this affair, you find out that she has this family curse. She's aging backwards now. All of a sudden, since this affair, she's becoming younger, and we hear a lot of these stories about this wolf spirit curse called Inugami that has haunted this family's bloodline and generations as we get more and more into their pasts. I think it was very beautifully shot. Of all the movies on here, this might even be the best looking one from a scope standpoint, from a filmmaking standpoint. It's a gorgeous movie. There's no doubt about it. This reminded me a lot, and I'm so sorry in advance because I want to piss you motherfuckers off. This reminded me of an Ari Aster movie. If you like Ari Aster, you might love Inugami. I fucking hated this. I thought this was absolutely a waste of my time. This is your classic. We have a pretty picture, but our fucking movie sucks. This was some of the most uninteresting motherfuckers I have ever watched in a movie, to the point where after about an hour and 15 minutes, I mentally checked out of this movie for the last half hour because I truly did not care. And do you know how hard that is for me to mentally check out and be like, I don't care about your characters or your story or your plot anymore? That's like unheard of for me. I don't do that very often, but man, I did. I was like, I don't give a fuck anymore. This is so much of a letdown. And I think the biggest problem, and I know Curly said it right there, she beat me to the punch. This is really not a horror movie. And on a box set called J Horror Rising, where, we do have quite a few good films, in my opinion, whether they're B movies or not, I think this is a false promise. This is a dark drama, if you will. That's to me what this movie is. we get all these characters that none of them really have any space to grow. They're arguing, they're yelling, they're shouting at each other. Hey, you shouldn't have done this. No, you shouldn't have done that. We don't get to know these people really. And yeah, does it all look good? Sure, but you don't give a shit. And the pacing was glacially slow. I mean, it goes at about a snail's pace. I didn't find any of these people interesting. Now, okay, even another thing. There are yits in this movie. There are some big fucking yits. And how could you not like a movie with big fucking Japanese yits? I'm so sorry, but I fucking didn't. I mean, I don't care how big your yits are. Your story stunk, and your scares, you don't even have any, really. You have one scene where this lady tells off her grandma, and her fucking hand turns black, and then the next scene, she's there at a funeral, and they're like, oh, she died. It's the wolf spirit curse, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, bitch, I don't care. I don't care, because the grandma, I didn't even get to know the fucking grandma. How am I sad? Why am I sad? I didn't get to know you, bitch. I don't even know if you can eat these fucking candies because I don't know if your teeth are real. I don't know if the fucking wolf spirit's haunting your fucking old granny ass. And I don't know, but you're yelling at this lady with big ass yits, and I'd rather just see those. It's just frustrating. There's a really good scene where they're in a tunnel and they are starting to have their affair between, 40 older 40s lady and like mid-20s guy, and they start to talk, and she's talking about how she had an abortion. She was forced to have an abortion, and behind her there's like a visual of them full on fucking and yits popping up and down. Yeah, visually that was cool, but like the whole story and her whole monologue of having an abortion, it's all a lie. She didn't really have an abortion. She was actually, her baby was alive and given to somebody else. Whoa. Why are you lying to me in a scene that's so important and fucking crucial to what this story was trying to portray and tell? The horrors of family. And you didn't fucking get to know the family. You didn't give a shit. I was so frustrated by this movie. It is gorgeous. Yeah, there will be people that will tell you this is the best movie on the set. I read a lot of reviews where people said this is easily the best movie on the set. I don't see that. I don't. Unless, again, if you're Ari Aster guy, you might fucking like it because, again, it's very much his style. It's a pretty picture, slick cinematography, very interesting visuals and colors. But that's all you got. You don't have scares. You don't have good characters. You have horrible, I will fucking say it a third time, horrible writing and dialogue. You needed a rewrite desperately. You needed 3 rewrites. I'm sorry. You either needed more rewrites or you needed more yits. One or the fucking other. And I'm sorry, but you just came up a little too short in that department. The very finale is a bunch of nonsense where we flash back and we go to black and white because now all shit's going to hit the fan. Whoa, here comes the horror in your horror movie. We're only an hour and 37 minutes in, and I've seen 2 yits and a fucking grandma's lady's hand turned black. That's all I've seen in this fucking movie. And, we're going to turn everything black and white, and these people are going to kill each other off and swing torches and fucking pitchforks at each other. I do not care. Your movie came up short. Your movie sucked, in my opinion. I did not care for this. Now, the director seemed like a cool guy in the interviews, Masato Harada, and he's made better movies. I looked at his filmography. I actually am familiar with some of the movies he's made. I just think for a horror film and to put this as a part of your horror movie fucking set, it's not something I'm saying. It says it on the box, horror. This is not a horror movie. It's not at all. You want to watch a dark drama with boring people and one nice pair of yits? Go ahead, be my fucking guest. I think you will be bored out of your mind. Back to the comments. Sorry, y'all. I didn't think I was going to get that mad, but I'm fucking mad. What a waste of my time. Like, what a fucking joke. Noroy for sure is the best one of the bunch. Yes, and we're going to talk about Noroy last because I don't want to end on this. Let's see, rant on Grande. Yeah, honestly, I did. I really did. I wasn't planning on it. Ginger loved your last review. The Yeti film was a god-awful movie. The Yeti film. Oh, you were talking his last review. I thought you were talking about mine. I was actually excited about Inugami as well. It sounded so intriguing, but ended up being such a snooze fest, and I hate to be that person. It wasn't. And like, listen, you and I have talked about movies. We can appreciate a movie if it's not a horror movie. It's not. I'm not coming from the standpoint of I hated this because it wasn't a horror movie. It's really not the case. If this was a really good drama, I would sit here and tell you that was a really good drama. I think in a lot of ways, Shikoku is a really good drama. I do. I think Shikoku was definitely, it had those drama elements. It definitely had a lot of drama elements. But when the horror kicked in, it kicked in well. And I thought it was well blended. There's drama elements, but it was still a horror film at its core. This was just a drama that I would never watch again. I mean, there was no entertainment value. And you really, for a movie telling about the destruction of this family, we didn't get to know the family. You want to hear something crazy, curly girl? I'm going to blow your mind. The original actress for Sadako from Ring, from Hideo Nakata's film, she makes her only other screen appearance other than Ring 2 in this movie. Ri Ono, I always pronounce her name wrong, but Ri Ono is apparently in this movie. You might be asking, which character is she? She doesn't even have a character name. She's never even addressed by name. The credits on IMDb do not even have the name for the character because they couldn't be bothered. They were too busy fucking taking tracking shots of the trees. Get the fuck out of here. I do agree that your movie looked beautiful, but god damn it, then don't make fucking long fucking J-horror movies that aren't J-horror movies, you son of a bitch. Yeah, sometimes the shit just ain't hitting. I'm sorry. Hey, not too much on Ari Aster. His movies are always are all above Inugami. I don't know why, but I got that vibe. I really did. I mean, I'm sitting here. I'm like, what does this remind me of? Beautiful looking, but everything else sucks. And it immediately came to mind. I was like, Ari Aster. I was like, Ari Aster probably fucking has a copy of Inugami and gold plated on his fucking wall. But I'm sorry. I'm not shitting on, and I don't want me to shit on Ari, but it did. I fucking thought it during the movie. I saw The Devil and Ichi the Killer. Awesome movies. You had me at Yitz. Well, don't we have everyone at Yitz, really? Well, I guess, to quote this man, the great King Gore, well, I guess I've got to see the movie for the big fucking Japanese. Yeah, it's the sacrifices we make for the cinema. I remember Corey at one point messaged me, one of the funniest fucking messages I ever got. He was like, bro, look at this. And like, it was some video and it had a lot of views. And it was like a Yit, and he was like, why do all these people, it's like they've never seen a Yit before. He goes, what is the appeal of seeing a Yit in 480p? And bro, I don't know why, like the way he said it was so fucking funny, man. So I don't know. That's just a great King Gore line. Let's see. Like your Alice Sweet Alice, aka Mass Murders poster, aka Communion. Thank you so much. I love that. It's another Arrow. I think this is from Arrow. I'm a big Arrow guy, if you can't tell. People saying hi to Nanette. The power of Yitz. Dude, Yitz can make a sane man go mad. Yitz, gotta love it. I'm doing good, Grande. How are you? I'm doing great. What's J-horror? What's short for Japanese horror? And there was a huge movement in like the late 90s bleeding into the early 2000s when Ring came out, then Noroi the Curse, and so on and so forth. These movies for sure were part of that. Oh shit, I've never even noticed her. What the fuck? I wouldn't have either. And I was looking for her because I was so excited. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to see Sadako in the only other movie where she's acting in and she's not Sadako. I want to see this. Nope, never gave her character a name. Didn't even bother. I was like, bro, what the fuck? Like, I'm sorry, man. Some movies rely too strongly on great visuals. I've noticed a lot of that called masterpieces. And this is one of the highest rated movies on the set. I'm sorry. I just didn't. Where's the horror? I'm sorry. Like, I just didn't. Even if you told the horrors of family, it was so all over the place and messy. Tracking shots of trees, I feel that I hate the unnecessary eating of runtime. Yeah, this was a little bit longer. This is almost an hour 45. You could just leave it all. Evening Savages, Chris C is in the Heezy / that like. Thank you, Cal Japanese. Okay. People laughing. They take goofy ideas and film them nicely. Then if someone doesn't like it, people go, you just don't get art or it was too deep for you. Yeah, see, maybe Curly can answer this. Maybe Curly knows because I checked out mentally. Like, I don't know what the point of this movie was. I truly did not care. By an hour and 15, I was like, dude, you still haven't grasped me. I've seen a pair of Yits, and that was the only good part of this movie. So I mentally checked out. I watched the rest of the movie. I couldn't tell you though, what it all sums up to. Because I don't care. I really don't. Japanese films, people saying hi. Okay, thanks for clearing that up. Chris is the man. Awesome. People saying hi. Okay, just a lot of people saying hi. So awesome. So that brings us to the last movie of this set, which I would agree, as Curly was saying before, is above and beyond the best of these 7 movies, and the movie that if you're going to pick one that you're going to take for me tonight to watch, you need to take this one. And there's no doubt about it. And I will say this right here and now, and I know This will be controversial because I know fear is subjective, but this is in the top 10 scariest movies I've ever seen from a scary standpoint. Not the top 10 best, not the top 10 horror movies. I would say from a scary standpoint, a movie that I find truly scary, horrifying, terrifying, mortifying, whatever the fuck-ifying you want to say, the movie is it. And it's this movie here from the year 2005, Noroi the Curse. Yes, Noroi the Curse. We have a brief plot synopsis here. A prominent paranormal journalist, Kobayashi, goes missing shortly after completing his documentary. What begins as an investigation into strange noises soon evolves into the chilling mystery of a demonic entity named Kagutaba. Of course, this is also directed by Koji Shiriashi, who, of course, did Carve the Slit-Mouthed Woman. I'm so sorry, but this movie's fucking terrifying. And I don't know if it's still on Shudder. I know it was for a while. Everybody was begging and screaming and banging their head on the fucking floor to get a physical media release of this. And thankfully we finally have. And man, while the source material is a little bit rough, and this is of the transfers, it doesn't look the greatest. You do get a ton chockload of features if you're a fan of this movie. And I watched all of them. They were fucking great. And I rewatching this movie, man, I truly think this is a classic horror movie. I love this thing from top to bottom. It is one of the best found footage movies. And dare I say it may be the closest that they've ever come to capturing how that ending in the original Blair Witch Project feels. Whether you love or hate Blair Witch Project, I feel like a lot of people could be in agreement that ending to this day is one of the creepiest things you've ever seen. Now, imagine that, but the entire film feels that way. I mean, holy crap. And to me, what was so good about this movie is a lot of it you feel isn't going to connect. Like, you open up with this filmmaker and he's saying, I want the truth. I don't care how terrifying it is. I want the truth. And we get this whole kind of lead into this curse of course, this Onryo called Kagutaba. We hear about the origin. And then, of course, we go around the town with this guy as he's encountering these people, and some of them are cursed, and he's kind of just watching them. And man, it's just so, I can't even explain how fucking scary this movie is. I don't know how to explain it other than you need to see it, really. It's a hard film to explain because it really is all over the place too, and how it works. Like, you at one point have these two guys and they want to go out to this haunted forest. Okay, we're going to go out there. And they bring this actress with them. And they go out there and they're being filmed. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the fucking lead girl just starts screaming and throws herself on the ground and is flailing her arms. And you're like, what is going on? Like, what happened to this bitch? Sure enough, we see the footage again. And I thought they did a really smart thing with this. They show you her watching the footage. And she goes like this. Like, she's just like, oh my God. We don't see the footage yet. We just see her reaction of watching the footage back. Then they present to us the footage that we just saw, and they slow it down ever so slightly. And we could see like a ghost right behind her, right before she starts to scream. And you could see that maybe it's garnered and grabbed a hold of her as she starts this blood curdling scream on the floor. Really good. There's this crazy guy with tinfoil hats who's like a psychic, and they keep going to this guy to try to get information, but he's not all there, and he's terrified of the curse, and he yells at them, stay away from the pigeons! Stay away from the pigeons! As we have all these interesting visuals of these fucking pigeons flying around and being sacrificed, and you're like, what the fuck is going on in this movie? Like, what is going on? And the movie just kind of goes from there. It's a lot of different scenes of people that are being possessed, are possessed, that we're trying to figure out this mystery. And to me, well, I know a lot of the movies on this set suffer from the glacial pace, from a slow burn. This is an entertaining movie from start to finish. It's just under 2 hours. And I swear to you, there will not be a 1 minute where you're bored or where you're like, all right, hurry it up now. You are on the edge of your fucking seat throughout this entire movie, like your life is depending on. Like, it is that disturbing of a film. Really good stuff, in my humble opinion. Just really effective horror. You do have the young girl, Kana, and we're introduced to her, and you can see that she can see these things that are hidden. So they're like, hey, draw a picture of what we're holding behind the desk. And she draws it perfectly. Hey, draw this. Hey, draw that. And it gets to the point where she's doing so great. They have her on TV. And then they say, hey, draw this. And she draws something completely different. And they're like, huh, like, how'd you get that one so wrong? What happened? And you learn later on that maybe, just maybe, she could see something that this curse was providing. And what she draws kind of plays in factor later in the film, which I thought was great. It was really early on. And to pay that off later, like, that's what she was drawing. Oh, cool. Really liked that. I thought that the whole sequences of horror, this just truly like scared me to my core. I was like so fucking horrified, man. Like, I can't even tell you enough. And you know, I don't want to spoil this because I do think there are people that still need to see this that haven't. But I will say the last half hour of this movie is really one of the scariest last half hours of any movie I've ever seen. Like, it's up there. It really, really is. It's fucking to the point where I was like, wow, like you need to watch Tom and Jerry after this movie ends. Like, because you just need something to remind you that there's happiness and laughs and good things in the world, because man, it's just such a disturbing ending. And some of the visuals, and I know there's a visual that's iconic with this movie. One of the last visuals you see, it's one of my favorite J-horror visuals of all time. And I don't want to spoil it, but maybe if it's on the stills, goddammit, I might have to spoil it, because I could show you guys some stills of this movie. Thanks to our good friend. This is the scene I was describing with the woman in the woods and the Onryo being behind her. Of course, it's not in that still, but okay, there it is. There's the last shot. This is the last shot of the movie. Spoiler. But yeah, this is one of my all-time favorite shots in horror movie history, is that shot of the boy with Noroy's mask and the ghost in the corner. Oh my fucking God. That is nightmare fuel, man. Just terrifying. And this great classic poster of the, before Parasite did it, by God. Although Parasite's a damn good movie too, let's be honest. I don't know. I love Noroi the Curse. I think it's just such a good found footage horror movie. It's a roller coaster ride of a movie. It's 2 hours, but like I said, you will never be bored once. I love the legend. I love the aura. I love the pacing. A 10 out of 10, really a 10 out of 10 movie, and the movie that most people bought this set for. Now, the thing I saw most when I read others' reviews of this set as a whole, this whole J Horror Rising set, was people said, I bought this for Noroy. Let's see how the other 6 movies are. And a lot of people said some poor things about the other 6 movies. I don't feel that way. I think you have 4 of the 6 are pretty fucking good. So that's 66 point. Let's do some Scott Steiner math. 66.7%. You know, if we're rounding up here, I just thought this was great. I thought, you know, most of the movies in here did deliver, aside from like one double feature, which is what it is. Let's go to the comments though. Let's see what you guys have to say. Is anyone a fan of Noroi the Curse? I don't know what the point was either. I thought it had an interesting premise for the first maybe 10 minutes. Yeah, 10 minutes and you checked out. Yeah, I made it an hour and 15 minutes, and then I was like, fuck this. I was like, this is so like not worth my time. I'm so with you. Let's see. I don't think I've seen any of these movies except for The Curse, but it's a good one. I enjoyed it. I would wholeheartedly agree with you to that. This is a fucking good movie. Like, anyone that wants to get the shit scared out of them, watch Noroi the Curse in the dark by yourself. I mean, you will thank me later. Noroi is definitely super creepy and one of my favorite found footage / mockumentary films. Yes, and like everything about it was so interesting. Like the way they do the backstory, I thought was so smart, because they do that found footage where he goes to this like philosopher, and the philosopher says, listen, they only ever filmed one of these rituals. I have the tape. And they watch the tape on the TV together, and just some of the most disturbing stuff as you see. He's like, here, this guy was the priest, and this was the person that was possessed, and it's his daughter, and she's in a mask. And it's just so fucking unsettling. You're like, what the fuck? And the same thing as this person gets on the ground and starts screaming with this disturbing mask and blood on her face. Really good stuff. It's found footage. I'm sold, dude. Chrissy, man, see this movie. Like, I think it's on Shudder. I do think it's still on Shudder. I'm not sure. I don't have Shudder, but if you get this set, this is the one. I mean, this is of the 7. It's easily the one to be watched. I don't really like found footage movies, but I like this movie, which is saying something. Wow, that is saying a lot, because I know there are people that don't like found footage movies. They usually hate all of them. So to put one over when you're not a fan of the subgenre of horror itself is saying volumes. Like, if you don't believe me, if you don't believe Curly, like, totally believe in that ballpark, because that's saying a lot. Hey, Grande, I had that box set. I haven't even really looked at it that much yet. Well, it just came out, so yeah, it's understandable. I just got it a week or two ago. So I was like, I definitely want to do another J horror special. What better time to do the J horror special than with the J horror rising set? So I thought that was a good time to do it. Never seen Noroy. Highly recommend. It's a scary movie. People saying hi. Found footage films. I would wreck the Conspiracy. I love Wreck. I think Wreck is great. Conspiracy is another really good one. So that's awesome picks there. Need to check Shudder, see if it's still on there. Yeah, please do. Totally, man. Brian, people saying hi. Not a big fan of found footage films. 16 in 1972. Okay. Grande, one of the scariest endings. Great thing I bought it then, I guess. Oh, dude, so I'm guessing you haven't seen it. Dude, yeah. I don't know though. See, that's the thing. Let me hit the brakes a little bit. I don't want to get people's hopes up and people be like, you know what, that movie didn't scare me at all, Grande. You're a fucking dumb fuck. I will in advance say if you watch this and you're not scared by it, I am sorry. I really am. Like, this is a movie that scared me. But you're also talking to a guy that The Exorcist is not a scary movie to me. Like, I like The Exorcist, it's a good film, but I don't tell the stories of, I hid under my covers from it. Like, no, I just didn't. I don't find that scary. And again, I don't want to mean to go back to Ari, but Hereditary, everyone says the movie fucked them up. It fucked them up. I didn't find it fucked up. I didn't. It didn't do it for me. Funny Games is a movie that did it to me. Ju-On the Curse, Ju-On the Grudge are movies that did that to me. Noroi the Curse, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. These are movies that fucking disturbed me to my core and made me scared. Like, that's just how I am. And fear is completely subjective. So you may not feel what I feel. However, there are a lot of people that are in our ballpark that were disturbed by this movie. So if you don't, like I'm saying, if you don't take my word, that's fine. Or if you don't believe me, or if you don't end up finding it scary, that's totally, I'm sorry you don't. But man, it's a keeper in my opinion. Yeah, the last half hour of that movie creeped me out. Oh my God, it never lets up. It's just a fucking nightmare. Like, the last half hour, you're like, fucking somebody stop this movie. Like, the whole finale too, which I mean, when that house goes on fire, we see that visual and the husband screaming for his wife, no, being burnt. Holy shit. I mean, that's just fucking, I'm sorry, man. There are a few things as intense and scary as that to me. After I watched that movie, The Curse, I watched Winnie the Pooh. Yeah, you really have to. Okay, Nanette and me, we're in the same ballpark. I'm completely with you. Grande, it's the red over it and the face with horns coming out of the eyes. Yes. Also, the way they say Katutaba. Yes, Katutaba's Curse. Grande, Parasite is one of my favorite films of all time. I met Bong Joon-ho, and he signed my DVD of The Host. That was before he made Parasite. That's really cool. Cool 1972. Haven't seen any of these, but it sounds like a wild time. Dude, Birds, I think you'd love Noroy. I would love to hear your thoughts on Noroy. The rest of granted, the rest of these, a lot of them are slow burn. A lot of them have a lot to say. They're a little bit deeper. Really good. Really fucking scary. Scott Scatterbat. Yeah, that's right. You have a 66.6% chance of beating the big bad booty daddy. Holla if you hear me. Yeah, I mean, I had finished the whole Inugami movie, but mentally. No, I know. I'm saying I mentally checked out about an hour and 15 in. I finished the movie too. I couldn't tell you what happened the last half hour. I just did not give a shit anymore. I was like, unless somebody else wants to show their yits. Other than that, though, I'm hitting the brakes. I had to have that tape to Grande, LOL. Yeah, everyone had to have that tape. Awesome show as always, Grande, and I learned some about some new to me J horror only on the Graveyard. Well, I'm happy. Thank you so much for saying that. AJ's here. I'm gonna meet this son of a bitch in 1 week. Definitely on Shudder. Gonna check it out, dude. Yes, I really want to hear everyone's thoughts. Like this. Maybe imagine if we watch this. We're in Chicago. That'd be fucking crazy. I feel like we have to watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles together because it's gonna be right around Thanksgiving. Like, we're literally Steve Martin, John Candy in real life. I mean, fuck. Like, all we're missing is some shower ring curtains and fucking, welcome home, Mr. Griffin. I mean, we got to watch that movie together for sure, man. Going to be very fun to kick it with you. All the covers of the movie case is white, Grande with a book. So yes, so this is what you're talking about, the white. But they are reversible, so you can switch it to Noroi the Curse. You can reverse it to Persona. Carved the Slit Mouth Woman. It's really cool. I like that they give you that option because this new artwork, it's fine. it's trying to like do the Japan flag. I mean, it's cool. It's just, I don't know. I like the original. I'm all about original cover art. You better be sorry, Grande. Haha, just kidding. Grande the Exorcist isn't scary. No, it just isn't. I just never did it for me. I don't hate. I like the movie. It's just not a movie where you hear all these people going like, "I lost sleep. I slept on my parents' floor." I'm just not in that boat. I think at least half of these movies are on Shudder right now. Actually, Shikoku, Inugami, Carved, and Isola definitely are. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Someone just said fucking The Curse is on there. So that's 5. So yeah, maybe you can watch all these on Shudder. So if you have Shudder, you want to do a J horror night for yourself. Texas Chainsaw Funny Games are disturbing. Totally. Those are Event Horizon. My all-timer is terrifying to me. Really? That is a fucking curveball. Really? Have you reviewed that on your channel, Chrissy? I would be so curious to hear why that movie scared you so much to your core. Just checked it. St. John's Wort is also on Shudder. Wow, so 6 of the 7 are on Shudder. That's fucking insane. Probably Persona is the only one that's not. All good Kubrick, everything's subjective. Exactly. Never scared me, The Exorcist. I'm in the same boat. So Inugami was bad. Yes, in my fucking opinion. The Hungarian horror film Satan, terrible Exorcist ripoff. Okay. Yeah, that's one. That's what I love about Arrow, the reversible covers. Same, I love it. Plus cool features. And this every single movie got the director to talk about it, which is really cool. And I enjoyed all the interviews and features. Grande Arrows usually have reversible artwork. Yep, and that's what we got here, which is really cool. But yeah, no. So that is the J Horror Rising special here, Japanese horror special number 3 to be exact, on Grande's Graveyard. If you haven't checked this set out and you think these movies sound interesting, if you want to even give them a free shot, if you have Shudder, you can go and do that. But if you're a physical media guy like me, you want to keep physical media alive, and you want to buy this set, you can get this for 50, 55 bones, depending on where you go buy it. I would say search and hunt to see for the best price. Don't just go to Arrow like I did and pre-order it like I did, even though I'm happy with the set, and I really enjoyed all of these movies, well, at least 5 of the 7 movies. For what they were worth. But, you can't really beat this. I think this is really cool, and I think they did a nice job. And I know a lot of people were saying that Arrow is a shell of what they used to be, and this set was a piece of garbage. That's totally fine. But in my humble opinion, I thought this was a pretty good set. And I would say one of my favorite sets of the year for what it's worth. So I don't know. I like this set. Sue me, kill me. If you're catching the replay, which the replays on this usually seem to do really good on the Japanese horror special. Maybe we have some fans in Japan. Hey, if you're a fan from Japan, please let me know. And I would love to know if anyone from Japan watches this, because the replays on the other J horror specials and the Ringu retrospective I did with Curly and the Ju-on retrospectives I did on my own, those seem to all do really well in rewatches. So I do appreciate that. If anyone's from Japan watching, shout out. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, I did get this cool Tomei Blu-ray, and we're rocking out with this Fanta. And I'm going to have more of these peach candies once we go off the air. So Japanese Horror Night is a success here. I have not reviewed it yet. I'm always hesitant to rewatch that film. I have 4 copies of it. Really, wow, that's wild. There's a director's cut of Event Horizon we will never see. 1972, love your Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here profile pic. Okay. Grande, is that a good box set, or is it not so? I think it's a good box set. If you read anyone else's reviews, a lot of people buried this set and said Arrow fucked up. I don't agree. I really don't. When I get a box set and I'm pleased with that many of the movies, to me, you can't beat it. Arrow's made some great releases. I completely agree. Hope they do another volume soon. My guess is if this sells like the Giallo sets they did, because they did the Giallo set and that sold great, and then they did every Giallo set was a different color, right? They did the blue set, the black set, the yellow set, the red set. They did all of those awesome Giallo box sets where they just did 3 movies. I think for a box set, you should be releasing more than 3 movies, like to at least 5. At least fucking 5 movies. And this gave me 7. So I hope there's more volumes too. It really will all depend on how this sells. The reviews won't necessarily really matter if this sells a lot. And right now, I don't believe it is selling that well. So this might be the one and only. We may never get another J horror set. But if we do, I'll be getting it day one, because I just love this Arrow video, and I'm a big Japanese horror guy. So that was very cool. Agree, Kubrick. Arrow's a great Italian Gothic set, which I highly recommend. How's that Tobe? Oh, Tobe? Yeah. Tobe, I have not watched. This is sealed. I actually unboxed this at the beginning of the show, so I have to be watching this soon. I'm super excited to get to this one, though, because I do love the movie a lot. Of course, next week I'm talking the Tales from the Hood trilogy with Dr. Howdy, a.k.a. Will McDevitt. He'll be on the show, so I'll be very excited for that. But before I get into those trilogy, I think I got to do one more J-horror since this just came in the mail. That's going to be awesome, whatever it's called, Tome. I haven't watched a lot of Japanese horror. I like their anime. I like anime a lot, too. I'm a big anime guy. Joe Mama's in the house. Yo. Bye, everyone. Had an awesome night. Thank you so much, Miss C. Have a good night, a good weekend, everybody. You inspired me, brother. Going to record these reviews tonight. Thanks for the good vibes. Oh, dude, that's great. I'm glad. Needed them. Dude, that made my night, you telling me that. I'm happy to hear that. Oh, I'm sorry I misunderstood. I hope you had a good night and week. Well, it's cheaper Arrow releases before they're released, like Shaw Scope and Memento Mori. Okay, anime is great. Awesome. So like I said, next week, Tales from the Hood trilogy. Going to be a lot of fun. We'll tribute off to Tony Todd. And also the week after that, we won't be doing a Thursday show because it's Thanksgiving, but we will have a Black Friday show where we cover the Black trilogy. Yes, Blood and Black Lace, Black Sunday, and Black Sabbath, the Baba trilogy, only on Grande's Graveyard. So everyone, thank you so much. Get your Japanese candy, get your J-horror sets, get your Fantas, and cheers to you sons of bitches, the best fans in the whole wide goddamn world. Cheer from here and to the beasts of the East in Japan. We will catch you next time. Only on the Graveyard. Too sweet peace. Good night, everybody. Have a safe, happy, healthy weekend.